So thank you again for being here. Thank you for those who are just arriving now as well. This is the Permaculture Education Institute's online open day. It's our third one of these. Every season we run one of these sessions to update people, to let people know what's going on here, and to create a really friendly and open space where you can ask questions. So what we're going to cover over the next little while is a look at what's going on in the Permaculture Educators program, our incredible edible garden course, also in Perma Youth, our Ethos Foundation, our registered charity, and then just mention a few of the things that we've got going on, like the Sense Making in a Changing World podcast, our Permaculture Life YouTube and blog, the More I Go Unplugged course, and our future plans this year for a summit and more courses. And as you're going along, just keep track of your questions too, because that's what I'm really looking forward to jumping into later on. So first of all, let's just stop and have a bit of a look at what the Permaculture Educators program is. So essentially, it is a 10-month-long online Permaculture Educators program, which includes a Permaculture Design Certificate and a Permaculture Teaching Certificate, plus business modules. So it's about how you can design your way of life and your livelihood and share this out with your community. So it's really about supporting people around the world to be stepping up and speaking up and using permaculture as a platform for life and livelihood. So it is spacious. Like 10 months is a much longer type of permaculture course than you may have heard of before, because we really like to give the space within this course so that we can get it into our elbows and knees and really understand it deeply and practice it and experiment with it and explore what it means in a global context so that we can be really excellent educators. I mean, the point about this is that the world needs more permaculture educators right now, probably more than ever, about designing, creating robust and resilient systems. And so we want to support everyone who comes here to have this community where they can feel supported to step out into the world to do this work. So it is a global program. We have members of this course on 6 continents, and the content is global, and the way that it lands in your bioregion or your community is how you localize it. And we have a map where you can find people in your part of the world as well. It's a super flexible program. By this, I mean that you can start anytime you like. You can take as long as you need. You can even put it aside for a bit and come back to it later. So there's no end point, no expiry date. Sort of once you enter into this learning community around being a permaculture designer and a permaculture educator, you're welcome here as long as it serves you. And so I find this is a really fantastic way to enable us to be able to fit the education around all the things that are going on in our lives at the moment. Things happen, COVID happened, the flood happened, stuff happens in our lives. That means that we can't just necessarily follow things along like that. So the other thing I like about the fact that it start anytime means that there's always someone at a different point in the course. So there's always someone else to see what they're doing and learn from, or to practice mentoring other people. So the course itself is a meta. Like it is, as you enter into the course, you learn how to teach other people through the way that you engage in the course material. So it is a blended program. There is online content. So each week you get a new module that gets opened up to you. And that includes multimedia material. So you've got some videos and photos and illustrations and references and text, and a whole lot of different stuff comes with that. And then we have a series of live sessions, which I'll talk about soon, and also lots of forums and chats, and lots of direction about how to get your hands on and do this while you're going through the course as well. So inside the course, there's 44 modules, and this is not all of them. There's a dashboard when you get in there, and the yellow ones, there's 26 permaculture design course modules, 13 permaculture teacher certificate modules, and then a handful of modules that are around permaculture, how to set up a permaculture business, and then some review and reflection ones about how to move forward. So when you click, so this is what you find when you come to the dashboard of the permaculture course. You click on the one that's open to you, and you get these little line. You can see how far you've gone. You click on those, and inside that, you have a series of lessons. And so you can click on each one of those and work your way through, and it'll tell you when you've completed that module. You'll also find that there's action modules, what you can get up to and do. There's also references and resource modules. There's workshop modules. There's modules about projects to get involved in. So each module is laid out in a very simple to follow, easy to navigate way so that you can find your way through this content and take it step by step. So really what we're trying to do is to make the process of being a permaculture designer and a permaculture educator really clear, like all the information. And this is also the reason why I make sure that it stays open and accessible to you forever, because when you're starting to design your permaculture design educators program, you might think, oh, actually, I need to go and have a look back at what's going on in soils, for example, to pick out bits from there. Or, you know, when you're getting your own food forest set up, oh, I just need to duck back in to have a look at that. So it's always there for you to come back and have a look at. And also there's a whole lot of worksheets, particularly in the earlier modules of the course. And these are really looking at getting you to think about what are your permaculture design goals? How do you explain the permaculture principles? How do you look at the permaculture ethics? And so the whole point, I've just had dinner delivered to me. How nice is that? Thank you. So the permaculture, inside the permaculture course, there's a whole lot of materials is what I'm trying to say. And then to amplify what you find in the course, we have all of these live sessions, which happen every month. And these are optional. You can come along to these if they fit your time zone. I try and swap them around so that there's some it's always something for someone in whatever part of the world that you are. And so these, yeah, you don't have to come, but I find that they really help to enrich the learning that happens within the course. So some of the things that we've got going on are things like the permaculture pollination session, which is where we have lots of conversations between people within the course. So you get to learn about, say, what Katrina's doing in the Canary Islands, what Stacey's doing in Sydney, and what Bemriki's doing in the Ramwanja refugee settlement. You get to hear and know about all these different projects, and it's inspiring. You think, oh, I never thought about applying permaculture that way. That makes sense. I could do that. Or, oh, I've got a really useful reference for that person, and you share it. And so it's this community of learning that I think is really fantastic. So we have a list of the modules that are available for you. This one's from last year, but you get something like this in the course, and there's also a digital calendar that you can access. And then we have design studios. Katrina, I think this is yours, actually. Oh, well done, Katrina. So this is in the design studios, we get to hear of someone's design project and see how they've done it. So Katrina here chose to use aerial photographs and map her sketch designs over the top of that. The design studios are a place where you can present your designs. You get a chance to practice being a design educator. You ask questions, you get to be part of that process of giving feedback. You learn how to give good feedback. So it's both about design and education simultaneously. Often people ask me, so can I just do the design course and not the teacher bit? Or can I just do the teacher bit and not the design bit? The way I've designed this program is that the two combine, so that as you're going through the design course, you're also thinking about how you might teach it. And as you're going through the teaching course, it's reinforcing what you understand about the design course and going deeper into each particular module and thinking about those strategies that you'll use. So I don't actually separate it. I find that this spaciousness and the depth of knowledge that you get by going into each and particular module is really important. The design studios are so much fun. We have people who present either in sort of digital format, or they might do illustrations. This is Yul from Korea who loves to do beautiful artwork. And so she shared a slideshow of how she's done sketches of her program. And you don't have to be an artist to do this course. Any kind of way of expressing it is fine. Some people then also share in the education lab. We explore different ways of teaching permaculture. And so this is Christine. She was sharing about how she was setting up a workshop to run permaculture design education in her backyard, in her urban backyard. And so she would share the kind of program, the notes, the handouts, the structure of the course. And so as a learner of how to teach, you get to see how everyone's setting up and designing their programs, which is also particularly useful. And at this point too, I really want to reiterate that there is no one way to teach permaculture. It's not like you have to teach a 2-week course and that's how you teach permaculture. Some people teach permaculture with children. Other people teach with youth at risk. Some people teach with adults. Some people only do one-to-one coaching. Sometimes people take it into their workplace and do it as a sort of a infusement of permaculture in their work. And it could be anything. It could be songs and music and film, storytelling. And so these live sessions, all of them get recorded, which means that you get you can sort of find them and see, oh, I'd like to find out more about how they did that one in that urban thing, and you can go back and have a look. So they're all accessible there. Now, this is kind of where it gets down to the nitty-gritty. If you want the certificate, so you can actually just do the course and not get certificates and get a whole lot of rich content. But if you'd like the certificate, so the Permaculture Design Certificate, you need to complete these first 3 projects. You need to do a site assessment, so looking at what's going on in your place, a kitchen garden design. So we always start with the smaller bit, which helps you, like if you've never designed before, we don't start with the whole thing at once because we don't want to overwhelm you. So you start with a kitchen garden design, a small design, and then move out to the whole site. And so these are all, there's a booklet there that you get, which goes step by step through this process. And then the second part, these second 3, the yellow ones, is the teaching certificate. So you get to design your education program, like lead it, and then review it and reflect and improve it. So as you can see, the whole point of this program is that you actually come out with a design for your place. It could be your place, a school garden, a community garden, wherever it might be that you're designing, but you come out with a design, not for a fake kind of project that you're just doing somewhere else. You're actually doing your design, and it is phenomenal, the work that's coming out of this. I've had some landscape architecture professors who've been part of this course said the quality of the work that's coming through this is similar to like 3rd or 4th year landscape architecture work. It's really, really wonderful because it's spacious, because it's time, and people care about the work they're doing because it's their own project. And then by the time you finish the course too, you're also teaching. And so that is the point, that it is really practical and really helping you to get started. And like I said, there's no due date. So whenever you start the project is up to you. Whenever you finish the project is up to you as well. And so I just wanted to share with you a few little bits of student work that just to give you an idea of some of the things that happen in the course. So there are most people do their own work. Some people work in teams. This particular project is one from Thich Nhat Hanh's Happy Farm in France, and there was a team of people on that farm who worked together to design this project. So they filled their community room with the visions of it and the base plans, and so they kept going out to the farm, coming back in, and they had this going as part of their sort of their daily living practice to work on this together. And so it was very much just pen and paper, pin up on the wall. Other people like to do it more digitally and create ideas boards, and so use things like Pinterest or Miro boards or something more digital, and collect images and really pull together ideas that way. And then there's a lot of working drawings. So it's, you don't have to be a fabulous artist or a design planner to do this work. A lot of the thinking and the patterning comes in the broad pattern of the site, and then we move into the detail. So that's kind of that principle in permaculture, moving from the pattern to the detail. So we look at, what's going on with the influences from outside, what's happening in your bioregion, in your local microclimates beyond your site, and then coming into the detailed microclimates on your own place, looking at how you flow through the site, what are the areas and the zones, and then from there we start to head into a more detailed plan. So this is, getting a base plan of what's there already. Some people go really into detail. Other people, it's just a pencil line drawing or something simple. And it's up to you, really. There's no right and wrong with this. I'm just showing you a few different examples. And we start to understand contours and how to map that site. I show you where to get that information and what that means and how to use that on your site to manage the water flows and to build resilience into your landscape. And then some people, so this is done by an architect. Now, you know, obviously with the drawing skills, you can see they've been able to integrate that beautifully into how they've done their permaculture design. And what I find interesting is some people do the permaculture design course for their own backyard. Some people are doing it for community work. Other people are doing it for professional work. So this is Andrew's work and Adam's work, sorry, and he's laying this on his architectural practice and now offering that as a service. My background is landscape architecture, and I do teach in the course how to do these design drawings, all the different steps, and how to do side pictures and how to do simple sketches. So, you know, there is the opportunity within the course to do that as well. And also people within the course like Adam are happy to come back in and into the course, even though he's finished, to run a session. If that's something that people call for, like, oh, I really would love to draw like Adam, we can organize a session on that. So there's a lot of content that actually is driven by what people are asking for within the course. And then you kind of get into the nitty-gritty detail. So what do you actually put in each of the places? What plants are you putting here? What water systems? What's going on in that picture? And so, like I said, you go from the sort of the broad pattern right down to think about the detail so that you can actually walk away from doing this design and be applying it right then and there, and have something that you can then show to someone else and say, oh, look, here's a design work that I've done. It's part of your portfolio of work that you can take and start to build up other clients. And so they get expressed in different ways. This was that Thich Nhat Hanh's Happy Farm. This was an artist impression of the design of the permaculture design in the middle of their farm. And another picture of that. And so they wove in different sort of geometric patterns and lots of different details in there. And this is a market garden, so it's slightly different from what you might see in a standard permaculture home garden, because it is a production farm feeding all the nuns in the nunnery there. And so thinking about how you teach it. So some people are teaching in classes. Some people start to teach through writing about permaculture or blogging about it. So this is Joanne, and Joanne blogs and illustrates. So she goes out into her garden and writes about her plants and things she's noticing and shares that out. And I think this is a really lovely thing to think about. It's really broadening our concept of what it means to be a permaculture educator. This is, again, someone who's an illustrator. This is Yule's pictures. And so there's a storybook that's being written about soil that's being illustrated by members of this group. And actually, shortly after this session finishes, we'll be getting together with a group of people who are focusing on children in permaculture. And this group's been writing a story and illustrating. We're going to be meeting up with permaculture illustrator Brenna Quinlan, who illustrated Retro Suburbia and the Milkwards book, and is going to come and mentor them about that. So again, it's about finding what do we need? What do we need to really thrive in this work, and then just make those connections. And so, like I said before, this is a community of practice. And then Bemariki is here, and this is Bemariki's amazing work of his YouTube channel. So Bemariki is based in Ramunja Refugee Settlement, and we've been collaborating for a couple of years now to support his permaculture educators program for youth and women and foster carers throughout the refugee settlements. And each time he runs a program or does an exercise, he makes a video of it and puts it up here, which then can get shared throughout the refugee settlements. So there is so many different ways to do this. And so this is some of the classes that he's been running, and he takes on apprentices and supports people to become local community educators as well. And you star again, Bemariki. And he's running a sort of a community action, so getting food for us in the local community. So it's not just wait till you finish the course to go and do things. I think Bemariki is actually a really good example of, like, right from the very start of when the course began, he was out starting to share it with other people, starting to get community farms happening, getting community food forest, and myceliating this work right from the get-go. So I really take my hat off to you, Bemariki. I'm so impressed with how you've taken and run with this. And so other people do it through music. And so one song I'd like to share with you just now is from Alison here with the ukulele. She's actually a professional cellist, and she's part of an orchestra in the theatre. And she's learning this with her family, and she's written a song with her family about permaculture. One of the exercises, it was a response to one of the exercises in the course, saying, how do you explain permaculture to a community who really knows nothing about it in 3 to 5 minutes? And this is her response. I'm going to share it with you because I think it's just such a beautiful example. Oh, and the fellow on the other part of this picture is Somali, and he has spearheaded the youth, the Perma Youth music program in the refugee settlement in Kakuma.
The polar ice caps are melting, and the bushfires are raging, and the oceans, they are rising, and the wildlife's disappearing. I know it sounds kinda dreary, can make you feel kinda weary, but people are good and kind and clever, and we can fix this mess together. We can reduce, reuse, recycle, repair, but it doesn't just stop there. Rethink our ways, rebuild the soil, regenerate the land, rewild the world, replant the trees, replace coal and gas, reimagine and redesign our lives so we can reconnect with nature. It's all about the way we live, the choices we make and actions we take. We can simplify and slow things down, grow our food right here in the town. So many people in just one place. We could have less stuff and make less waste. Make some compost, plant some fruit trees, grow some flowers for the birds and the bees. We can reduce, reuse, recycle, repair, but it doesn't just stop there. Rethink our ways, rebuild the soil, regenerate the land, rewild the world, replant the trees, replace coal and gas, reimagine and redesign our lives so we can reconnect with nature. Chickens and the worms eat the scraps that we toss, pumpkin vines growing out of the compost. Lawn looks fine, but it's hot in the sun. An edible jungle is way more fun. It all comes down to earth care, and people care and fair share. The solutions are all out there. Permaculture's everywhere.
I really love her song, and I think it's such a beautiful way to share what permaculture is about. And she's also designing up a whole series of like plays to go and share with the community. So anyway, there's lots of different things going on. Jeannie in New Zealand has just got her property and her design, and she this is her pond. She says it's turned into a lake, and so she sent us a picture recently how she's creating these terraces and going to create like a whole bio zone around the edges, and really thought about how to design that. So we see different stages and different projects. And this is Kate in an allotment in the United Kingdom. And she just sent through this little clip to us about how she's rethought her allotment and what she's doing with water. So I'll just play this little clip for you.
Hi everyone, my name's Kate. I am on Morag's course. I've been studying with Morag for the last 6 or 7 months. I live in the UK in Surrey, and I'm down here at the moment on my allotment plot. It's the start of spring here. It's actually a beautiful day today. It's absolutely stunning. You can probably just about see the blue sky there. I've had this plot this is going to be my 3rd growing season, so for the last 2 years. And in that time I've had a very small water harvesting system which consisted of 1 barrel. I'll show you in just a second. So I have a shed with a downpipe which goes into that barrel. We have water mains areas throughout our allotment site. So there's a water mains area about 15 meters from where I'm standing now, and the last couple of years I've had to use that. And I really want to integrate as many permaculture principles as I can on my plot. So obviously that's not really ideal. So this year I've extended my water harvesting system, and a couple of weeks ago my stepdad and I came down to the plot and we interlinked a 4-barrel system, which I'll show you in just a second. So now the water drains down from the downpipe that comes off the shed into the first barrel, and then that links to another barrel and to another barrel and to another barrel. So I should have way enough water to last me through this whole growing season. So I'm just going to spin the camera around and I will quickly show you my water harvesting system. Hopefully you'll be able to see. So this is the downpipe here that comes off the roof of the shed, and that's the first barrel that I had. We had to slightly move that. And then there's these other 3 barrels, and they are all attached through this linking system here. So the water will just drain through from the first one onto the next ones. Thank you.
So I really love how Kate has sort of taken each of the modules and starting to apply it to her allotment garden. Next up, we've got Jesse. Now, Jesse is one of the earliest members of this program, and he's just gives us a little bit of an overview. He just sent in this video, which is actually about 30 minutes long, and I've only taken the very first part of it. It's done by the Purdue University's extension officers. They've gone out into the community to find out what people are doing, and this is the beginning of his story.
My name is Jesse Becerra Jr. I'm a 2nd generation Mexican American. My grandparents came to Northwest Indiana to work in the local steel mill industry, and where we are right now is just a stone's throw away from Lake Michigan, and that's considered our watershed, our drinking water. And specifically, this spot where I am is just a football field away from what would be the ancient sand dune. It was left 10,000 years ago, left glacier rocks like this one. So, yeah, welcome to the garden.
Jesse, tell us how you became interested in permaculture.
About 15 years ago, I started a thing called I didn't start it, but I joined a Worldwide Organic Farmers, WWOOFing. And there I was on an olive farm, and that's when I was introduced to permaculture. About 4 years ago, I started my first 8x10 garden, and that was just a no-dig method. And I think I even watched a video by Morag Gamble, who showed me how to improve the soil from scratch. So a few years later, I just expanded each year, little by little, and here we are today. About 1.5 years ago, I got my PDC, which is a Permaculture Design Certificate, and helped me to design this native food forest here in the suburbs.
Incredible. Well, tell us, what are some of your goals, drives, and inspirations?
Probably just doing what's right for the earth, and part of that is also doing what's right for humans. So sustaining a healthy diet and producing as much local food on site that doesn't have to be exported from far away is part of that process. Earth care and people care, and sharing that, sharing the abundance that nature provides.
So Jesse's process, as you can see, you may have heard in the beginning of that, he was talking about the history of that site, how it connects with the watershed, the geology, where those rocks are from. So all of this is part of looking out beyond your site, but then also thinking about, well, what can I do with the space that I have within this that connects with that? And so it's wonderful to see suburban examples, urban examples, rural examples, and just to see how he's taken this into his front yard. And I have one more conversation that I wanted to share with you, and this is from another recent permaculture design course graduate, someone who works as a professional in the water industry, as an engineer in the water industry, and sharing his experience. So this is just another very short clip. So starting off with the question, what advice do you have for someone just starting the Permaculture Educators Program?
Embrace the course and open your mind to the community and the activities it offers. The value in the extracurricular activities are beyond belief. You might have a key objective in mind, I did, that's great, but the PEI environment and additional interactions that happened around the program are something incredible that you won't be expecting. It's highly likely your time with the Permaculture Education Institute will not only improve your gardening skill, it'll improve it out of proportion, but it also has the potential to change your life. In my case, it was an incredible light bulb moment, and it's reshaped my future. We don't have enough time for that answer, but I'll give you the shorter version. At the gardening level, we've got a plan here for the entire property, and that's the first time in 25 years. At a professional level, the insight that came out of this course drove my conscience to go and do a Cambridge course in sustainability and circular economy. As a result, I've added a second job title, and I'm heavily influencing the direction of the organisation's sustainability drive. None of this was even in my psyche before the PEI course. But most importantly, I've found my future direction and my calling for the second half of my life. I'm loving it.
The community, as Paul was saying, is a really important part of this course, and it's kind of where the richness happens. And so as well as all the different elements that we can connect in with the different Zoom sessions, we have a Facebook community where you can dive in and see all the different things that are going on there, WhatsApp groups, people connect up locally, and also the communities of practice that I mentioned, like the children's one. And so these Zoom sessions are a place to really touch base with people from all different backgrounds and all around the world, and really to be able to ask questions directly. There's lots of different opportunities for sharing through storytelling, and sharing, not only sharing your story, but taking what you're learning and describing it through a story, through art, through music, through drama. And as I mentioned, these Facebook groups and the WhatsApp groups, these are such useful tools. So for example, the Facebook group, when you get into the course, when you're at, say, for example, the food forest module, there is a particular part of the Facebook area where you go, and that's where people ask questions or drop in their designs about their food forests or share the plants that they're doing. And so it's becoming like an encyclopedic reference of designs, of resources, of information, and a place to ask questions. So if you get stuck on that particular bit, you just drop over into there and you can interact with people there and search through and find extra information. And then the WhatsApp group is really just kind of like a fast and furious chat. It's a place where you're like, oh, I've got something quick I need to ask, or I want to celebrate and I've just done something and I put it out onto there, and you get lots of great feedback. So it's a really dynamic space. And then we have monthly masterclasses. So the last Monday of every month, we have a session, and the sessions are either something that I've thought that maybe needs to be amplified from the course, or something that's come from the student group saying, oh, we'd like to find out more about this. So coming up in a week from now, we'll be joined by Brenna Quinlan and Charlie McGee talking about how they use art and music as their way of sharing out permaculture education. So I'm just going to mention some of the other programs we do briefly, just to leave time for questions. And so if you'd like to be popping any questions in the chat too, remember, feel free to do that. So the Incredible Edible Garden course is the sign that you can see behind me and the sign here. These are the modules in the course. So there's 6 core modules and then 3 bonus modules: the beauty garden, the tea garden, and the cooking a garden feast. So it's really about looking at that very practical gardening side of permaculture. And it's a very in-depth introductory course, which leads into then the permaculture design course and the permaculture teaching course. And again, that also has a Facebook group that's part of that. And again, no expiry date, and you can start at any time and work through any time at any pace that you like. We also run once a year a program which is about supporting you to set up your own permaculture business. So it's a business design lab. And this is not something that's often talked about in permaculture. Like, how do you create a livelihood based on these ethics and based on these principles, and that really reflects how you feel about this kind of work and reflects the modes of working and being in business. So this is a small group mentoring program that runs over a period of 7 weeks. So if you're interested in finding out more about that, on the website, I'll show you a link soon. You can put down an expression of interest for when the next one of those comes up. And I'm really excited that this year we're pulling together a permaculture education summit. So inviting many of the key leaders in permaculture education thinking from around the world, and not just permaculture education, but education for sustainability, regenerative education, people who are really focused on this aspect of thinking about the future and how we need to be moving forward and how we can be sharing this. So this is coming up in 2022 as well. So make sure you stay tuned for that coming forward. And another thing that's coming as well is a membership program. So it's a monthly program. You could come in for just a month, or you can just stay for the whole year. And this is all those extra bits that we have in and around the permaculture course. So you may not be a member of the course, or you might be. This is all the extra conversations, the extra programs, the extra mini courses that really add on the richness that provide the support for you to thrive in this work, and can be generative as well. So again, if you have an idea of something you'd like to learn more about, then we can create programs. And particularly around the whole permaculture business side of things, like, how do you do all the social media stuff? So that's what this course is about. It's going to start fairly soon. It's called Permaculture Presence: how to create your permaculture presence, so that once you've done your permaculture design certificate or your permaculture teacher certificate, you can be using this to let people know what you have on offer in a really consistent and beautiful way. And I also want to mention too that we have a beautiful relationship with the Ethos Foundation, the Permaculture Education Institute. Ethos Foundation is basically a permaculture education charity, which any funds that we get through that support, 100% of that goes to supporting permaculture education work that's led by local people in refugee settlements and Indigenous communities. Also, the Permaculture Education Institute offers full scholarships to anyone who's involved in that work. And so there's Perma Youth that are involved. So this is Roland, who's actually a student of Bemariki's, who's now leading programs in her refugee settlement. There's women's farm programs and student Perma Youth groups. There's livelihood programs, all different things that are starting to emerge through this. So This is also something, before COVID happened, we were actually looking at ways that we could gather groups of people who'd come through this program to go and support and work in these communities and learn with them, and maybe add some extra help. So possibly, hopefully, one day we might be able to do that again. The Perma Youth is a really big part of also what we do here at the Permaculture Education Institute. A number of the young people who were part of this course decided that they wanted to do something more with young people and be more youth-led programs. So they've formed together this group and connected around the world and invite various people to come in and speak with them. And so they run festivals, they have podcasts, they've got local hubs in all around the world. They write articles. They're about to design their own youth-led permaculture design course, which is super exciting. And they've won a number of awards, so recognising their incredible education work they're doing that's youth-led. And this year we will actually be the hosts of the Youth in Permaculture Prize, and so that's going to be launched soon. Extending from that too, we now have something called the Ethos Youth Fellowship. And so this is connecting young people from the Permaculture Educators Program and Perma Youth with leading ecological thinkers of our time. So directly connecting them up with people like Nora Bateson and Rosemary Morrow and Vandana Shiva and David Holmgren and anyone that we can find who will actually work with the young people to explore the possibilities further. But this not just for young people. Everything that I do is trying to find this bigger context where we can share what is going on in the world with this permaculture community, and also make connections and offer opportunities for people to connect into all the different things that are going on in the regenerative world, because it's only when we're working together that we're actually going to make an ecological civilization possible. So one of the ways that I share that is through this weekly podcast. So you can hook into that through looking up sense making in a changing world. Also have the practical videos on the our Permaculture Life YouTube channel. And also going with that too is our Permaculture Life blog. So there's hundreds of articles and films in there that you can dive into that can, even as you're going through the Permaculture Educators Program, you want to fill in a little bit of detail, you can dive in there or ask me to create something to fill in there as well. As a gift for coming along to this session, I'm going to send you a link later on, so you don't have to worry about this now. But if you wanted to sign up for this course, I know some of you were already part of the course, so this is not a message for you. But if you're looking to do the course, I can send you a link to get 100 off either of the courses that you might like to join. And just to let you know too, so I mentioned that the Incredible Edible Garden is $297. The full payment for Permaculture Educators Program, which is a lifetime program with all of these different things, is just under $3,000. And you can do this through monthly payments, 3 monthly payments, 6 monthly payments, or we can also do a longer one on request. And as I mentioned before, we also do have a significant respect of the principle, the ethic of fair share in permaculture, and offer scholarships to people in the global south, to refugees, to Indigenous communities. And so just email us for the application form for that if you think that that's something that you might be eligible for. So this is the website where all of this information you can find. It's the permacultureeducationinstitute.org. You'll find all the different programs there. If you can't find something you're looking for, feel free to just email me. So this is the website, permacultureeducationinstitute.org. And to email me, just put Morag at the front, morag@permacultureeducationinstitute.org. Now, we've got a few moments left. And I wanted to share with you one more song. And this, I think, let me just go to the next slide. This is one of the songs that's come from, I think, Bemariki. This is one of your songs. So from Perma Youth in refugee settlements in Uganda. So I'll just play a bit of this so we've got enough time for questions.
mafunzo bora, mahitaji so mchezo, vyote tumetimiza. Ndani ya vijiji vyetu twajiweza. Permaculture wewe umeleta mwangaza. Mboga zote ninazomie, njoni sokoni niwauzie. Maisha leo ni teke teke, teke teke easy. Kila kitu ni teke teke, teke teke. Hakuna shida, njoni tucheze, tucheke cheke, teke teke. Tomato ngongo, leteni pesa tuweke weke, weke weke. Tumeweza maisha sababu ya funzo ya Permaculture. Who's the brother way how you can get money? Permaculture. We are making business of vegetable because Permaculture. Who's the show us how we can change our world what become greenest? Permaculture. 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 Umugabano w'ijira yaye busarapfa. Permaculture waratugeze twibura twari gupfa. Let me sing it yalalo. Let me say yalalo. Mukuri yengofero. Permaculture we say thank you. Permaculture you are our mother. Permaculture you are our father. Permaculture you give the way you change my life. Precious celebration. Permaculture you appreciate you. You have brought the light in our community. Dans les cas dangereux, tu étais près de nous. C'est Permaculture qui nous montre les chemins du futur. Permaculture c'est comme une montagne. Venez tous et restons debout. Nous étions décis, maintenant il y a l'espoir. Nous disons merci, merci Permaculture pour nous montrer l'amour et pour nous donner l'espoir de demain. Merci Permaculture. 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 Mafanikio. Permaculture. 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 Mafanikio. Merci beaucoup, Moragambo. Monsieur Bemery Kibisimwa. Mafanikio. Merci beaucoup. Merci beaucoup. Merci beaucoup. Merci beaucoup.
Wow. Fantastic, Bemrick. I love that new song. It's so fantastic. You could find those songs, all of the work that they've been doing on the YouTube channel that I shared before. And when I do a follow-up email with you, I'll send out all the links of everything that I've been mentioning, including the work of students that have something public that can be shared like this. So now I'd love to just, if there's any questions that you have for me, or for any of the other members, or if there's anyone here who'd like to say anything about their experience in the course that they feel like they'd like to share with people, please go ahead. We have a few moments left. There's a question in the chat here from Daniela. Is there a set date for the start of the programs? No, you can start anytime. And from the moment that you start, you then get a module a week. And so basically you can start you get the content, but any of the design studios, education labs, pollination sessions, you can just come along to any time. So you can see where people have already developed something or just beginning. So there's this ongoing sort of interaction between people at all different levels of the course. So anytime is the simple question, simple response to that question. Hi, Gemma.
Hi, everyone. I'm in California in the United States. And I've been doing this program this is now almost my second year, and I've really, really immersed myself in it. Environmental was my background, but with COVID, this really gave a lot of meaning to my education and some ways to turn what I knew into action. So I've been really taking my time with the design and the education course. I also did Morag Unplugged because this is how I want to orient my career. And I can say now 2 years later, though I have not submitted what I have now developed for my design and also my education certificates, my life has completely changed. My career has completely changed. I'm now looking at doing this completely full-time on my own, ready to take that step. And truly, I wish I could take advantage of all of the program additional offerings. My time zone doesn't allow for a lot of things, but really the benefits have been expansive and will continue to be, and I will continue to be involved forever, I believe. And I've really been focusing on education in the last couple months, and have been able to incorporate this into my workplace. And Luby McNamara has an amazing book called People and Permaculture. I highly, highly recommend, especially for understanding the taking care of yourself part of this and other people. And I was able to do a workshop with everyone in the company that I work with on systems thinking and how to think of how everyone plays a role and how we're connected. And I took my learnings from Fritjof Capra, from Morag, from everything through the course, and then I used the exercise that was in People in Permaculture by Luby. And I've been able to also apply many of the exercises she has to running meetings and things like that. So really, there's, with everything that you're doing, if it might not seem it's related to helping people or the planet, you can find an application for it. And that's why I've taken my time with this and have just really, really enjoyed the experience, and highly, highly recommend, regardless of what your intention is with this. Sing praises, and thank you so much, Morag and Stacey, for reaching out to share.
Thanks, Gemma. Oh, it's so great to hear what you've been up to, and it's just been a delight to see your face whenever you've been able to turn up. It's really lovely, and I know that it's hard sometimes with the different time zones. We try and swap from time zone to time zone, so you can't come to everything, but someone can come to something. You know, every month there's something that you can come to wherever you are in the world. So yeah, thank you so much for sharing, Gemma. It's really lovely to hear from you. Would anyone else like to ask any question? Go ahead, Katrina.
I just want to say it's really, I'm now a year long in the course, and it's really amazing what I learned. And I got much more self-confident with my garden, and even I'm thinking now about teach on a low scale, but I think thank you very much, Morag. And I was very shy before, and now I'm still shy, but not that shy.
Well, Katrina, you did a beautiful design presentation, and people who listened to that were really inspired. And I remember them saying to you, "You're a really good teacher," and I think that was such a nice thing. You know, I'm so glad you did that. And it's been such a delight to have you here on the course. And we've been really worried about Katrina actually over the time, because she's on an island that had an active volcano that exploded. So we're all very worried about you for quite some time, and I hope you're okay now.
Yes, we're fine, thank you.
Okay, good. Well, thank you for sharing, Katrina. Did anyone else have any questions? Before I bring you in, Stacey, I just also want to mention that, like, if you feel like you're a little bit shy to share in this group, I wanted to just drop in. Let me see if I can find it. I'll share it out later, but if you want to just talk to me one-to-one or email me, I'll send you the links of how to do that as well. So yeah, go ahead, Stacey.
I just wanted to say that we've seen lots of big permaculture projects, but it's also very applicable to small spaces. I just sold my house and I'm been moving to an apartment which has a very deep veranda, but it's certainly no backyard. And I'm really looking forward to applying this course and perhaps potentially some kind of workshop or teaching framework that then I can take that out into maybe my neighbours or the community. There's a lot of units where I live and a lot of development going on, and there's a need for that. You know, how to how do you handle your waste in that situation? Just walking into the unit for the first time, it says put all your waste in plastic bags and in the bin. I'm thinking, oh my goodness, no. It goes against everything I believe. So how do I, anyway, so what I want to say is you can apply it to any space effectively.
Yeah, and I think that the focus too on urban and suburban, if you have that capacity to look at that, I mean, any context really, there are other people who can learn so much from that. And like you said, there's so many people in apartments. How do you do permaculture in an apartment? How do you do permaculture on a rooftop? We've had Michelle in New York doing her rooftop gardening, which was absolutely fascinating. And someone who came and did a design studio the other day who lives in an apartment in Japan and sharing how they make soil in their basement, like just wonderful examples. And I think the question in the chat about, do you learn about different climates or do you focus on your own? So you focus on your own because that's what you need to know about, particularly to do your design. But in doing these design workshops and in coming along to all the different things and in the material, you get to see about all different types of things. So it needs to be broad because you may well move somewhere else or you may be consulting somewhere else. And we need to understand the bigger picture of what's going on at a planetary level. But how you focus in on your particular climate takes effort and focus. And once you get to know your place really well, you can then share it with other people with the depth of knowledge and the kind of like the detailed texture that you need to be able to walk into a place. You got it in your elbows and your knees and you can kind of see, I can see what's going on with your soil, or the wind's coming from here. And I know that, well, the trade winds come from this way. So you'll need to think about this. And you just start to know that space really well because you spend so much time thinking about it and observing it. And the observation, the time to observe. It's not a whole lot of work necessarily. It's a lot of observation and noticing and having conversations with people who know things as well. So yeah, I think that's a great question. And thank you. I noticed that some people also really answered that. Katrina, thank you. You answered that as well. Stacey just mentioned if anyone's interested in joining the upcoming film session. So what we have is a monthly film, and you're very welcome to join this. You want to come along and check out what's happening. This month we have a short, like a conversation film that talks about social permaculture, tools for transformation. And Luby McNamara, who's kind of like one of the lead in this film, will actually be joining us on Monday to have a conversation with us. So this is part of what we want to do too, is to keep bringing people into that to our conversation. So feel free to join up for that. There's also, I wanted to share with you this is a masterclass that's coming up the week after. I'm just going to share my screen one more time just to show you what that looks like. I think you can see this now. So this is the Permaculture Artivism with Brenna Quinlan and Charlie McGee joining in. So the link that I've just popped in the chat will take you to that. And what else did I want to share with you? Oh, yes. So you can connect in with what we're doing as well through our Facebook. This is sort of the public Facebook. When you get into the course, you go into the sort of the inside part of the course where all the exchange happens. But events will be listed over there. And also we often share different events and the podcast episodes over on our Instagram as well. So you can kind of follow along there and see what's happening and join in. And always feel free to email me with any questions that you have. I'll just pop that in the chat again. Permaculture Education Institute.org. Sorry, it's a long one and I tend to get mixed up with my spelling with the institute. So anyway, thank you so much for being here. Does anyone, we have another minute. Does anyone have a question that they wanted to ask? That's a burning question that you'd like to ask now? Thank you so much for being here. It's been really lovely to meet you. It's been lovely to see you, Katrina and Stacey, and I know that Sheba was here before as well, and Bemariki's been able to drop in, and Yoshi, Dee, lots of people. Lovely to see you all, and thank you again. Stay in touch. I'll send you an email with all the details later on so that if you want to follow up on anything, you can do that. Thanks, everyone. Take care. Have a beautiful evening or morning, wherever you are. And I'll catch you all soon. Bye.